Hey, what's up? Gregan here, former RLCS coach and now RLCS analyst, and I'm going to teach you today how to rotate like a pro. In this video, we're going to cover the rotate out mindset, the primary goal, the secondary goal, and how it differs in 2s to 3s. In order to show you how to rotate best, I'm going to be using an example from Dribbles in the Semper versus Dignitas series at RLCS 4 Major. Dribbles is known for his mechanics, but he's also very good at rotating in game. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the rotate out mindset to start with. So this is a way of switching your mindset from being in the play to rotating out. So you notice here, Dribbles has just made a play and he can no longer make a play on the ball. So what he's going to look to do is rotate out. And your primary focus when rotating out is to rotate away from the play to come back in a useful position with boost. So your 3 goals are rotate away, come back in a useful position, and with boost. We'll talk about the secondary goals, which are that of a higher level player's decision making. But for those of you who are playing 3s in ranked, this will help you to rotate better for your teammates. So to start with, the rotation away will often be to the opposite side of the pitch, away from the ball. Now in this situation, he has to get 100, so he goes for that mid 100 boost. And what you notice here is when you rotate away from the play, it allows you to see everyone on the pitch. The opposition probably won't be able to see you as well, except for Archie here can just about see because he's this side of the ball. But you know, Cassio and Shazette can't see where you are, so you can come back in a useful position and often blind to your opponents. And the other advantage you've got is you can come in with a lot of momentum, a lot of vision, and make a decision based off of what you can see in front of you. So it'll be easier to execute. You won't need to use as many mechanics to be able to pull off what you're going to do. As we know, Joe is a very mechanical player, but he's able to be very effective here with a simple mechanic. So again, Dribbles has finished his play, so he's now looking to rotate out. And we'll talk a bit about the secondary goals he might be thinking about right now, because he also is on a little bit more boost and he is able to get involved in the play. But you notice here, the moment he recognizes he can't get in the play, which is this point here, he's now in the rotate out mindset once again. So at this point, he's going to look to rotate away from the play. So right now, the ball is going to be going towards apparently Jack. So he's going to be rotating away on the opposite side of the pitch. Now, because he's on quite high boost, he could just use pads in this situation. He decides to play it safe just in case the ball goes into their half and goes for the 100. He ends up coming back into the play with as much boost, if not less, than he would have done if he picked up pads. But again, he went for the safer option of rotating to the 100. And when he comes back into the play, again, he can see everything on the pitch. He comes back in a useful position with boost, and he's then able to follow that up and be the next player on the ball and make a strong decision. And this is where Dribbles is able to use his mechanics. When he comes back in that useful position with boost on the opposite side of the pitch, he can see everyone in front of him and he knows how to outplay them. And in this situation, he recognizes he can dangerously put it into the corner, and he's able to follow that up. And while he's doing that, apparently Jack looks to get a bump and they end up scoring. Now, rotations aren't as simple as I've just described. That's the primary focus, and the primary focus is something to fall back on whenever you're rotating. But there's lots of secondary goals you can have whilst you're rotating, and this is what differentiates higher level players with the rest of the scene. Now, a lot of these high level decisions are better with comms, are better with teammates you're used to, so it might be harder to pull these off in ranked with randoms, but these secondary decisions are what add value to your rotation out so that you're not just merely going back to allow your teammates to come forward. So those secondary goals include boost steals, demos, forcing your opponents, receiving a pass, stay in the play on low boost, and disrupting dribbles. Now, each of these can be broken down in a lot more detail, but the easiest ones to understand are boost steals and demo plays. So you'll notice here with apparently Jack, as he's rotating out, first things first, he's able to land and get the opponent's boost. So this is going to potentially deny boost from the opposition. And at this point, he could rotate out, but he recognizes that his teammates are going to be able to cover behind him. The opponents are broken down enough. So he looks to go for a secondary goal, which is go for a demo. And potentially his presence might have forced Shazette there. I don't know if it would have done, but you know, going near the play without intending to go for the ball might force your opponents to jump and go for it as well. So you can see here, goes to that bump. And then at this point, looks to rotate out. And at this point, he'll be going back to the primary focus of rotating away from the play to come back in a useful position with boost. So that's an example of boost steals, demos, or maybe even forces there. He might even at this point, he also went for another boost steal. He might even at this point consider rotating in as a passing option, but Scrub Killer recognizes in this position he can take the shot himself. Now, another situation might be where you'd want to receive a pass. And if we go back to Joria's waiting upfield, we saw an example of that just here, where just before rotating out, he recognizes he can stay in the rotation with lower boost. So you don't always need to rush out the play when you're on lower boost. Recognizes there might be a pass receiving opportunity from Scrub Killer here. And as soon as that moment disappears, he removes himself from the play, right? So I've just jumped back here to a little bit beforehand where we've got a great example of Jurias staying in the play on low boost. Now, it's not always possible to rotate out the play and pick up boost. And this is a very tough decision to make sometimes. You might need to stay and pick up pads and look to provide an option in the worst case scenario. Maybe you need to go up and make a block, maybe you need to make a challenge, maybe you need to force. So what you might end up doing is staying in the play on low boost. So you can see here, Jurias is on 29 boost and is looking to provide a threat to this ball because the opponent doesn't know you're on low boost necessarily. So you can see here, he looks to be going for that ball, and that actually makes Cassio back off because he's thinking Jurias might be able to make a touch. And at that point, Jurias rotates away, tries to get the 100 boost, isn't quite able to do it, so he stays in the play on low boost, providing options, and then is able to go get that 100. So when you're in these low boost decisions, you're looking to maintain your boost, accumulate boost through the pads, and if you get a chance to, nip off to get 100 and come back in. So it allows you to stay in the play, providing a forced threat on the ball, maybe even a chance to make a block. But then at that moment, when you're no longer needed, you then rotate out and do the primary focus of rotate away from the play and come back in useful position with boost. And that's what Jurias just does right here. So for my last example for you in threes, we've got a great example of Jurias rotating away from the play, having not even gone for the ball. So sometimes you will need to rotate away, having not had a chance to go for the ball. So in this situation, Scrub Killer's moving the ball from left to right, and apparently Jack is behind Jurias to the right. He knows that based off of the build up to this moment, maybe through comms, but he knows that anything on the right side is not his to go for. Anything that stays in the middle, he can. So he starts pushing up here. Once he recognizes he can't make a play on the ball, he decides to rotate away from the play. Also gives him a chance to see where Jack is as well, and comes back in a useful position with boost, which is somewhere in the midfield, covering anything that gets past Jack. In this situation, he's unable to come in and make a play on the ball because he can see everyone on the pitch. Unfortunately, in this situation, his play doesn't quite work out. This is part of the joy of Jurias. He has a high mechanical ceiling, but he also sometimes makes mistakes because he tries things that are quite risky. The moment it doesn't work, he looks to rotate out. So he looks to try and land, maybe find some boost and come back into the play. But at this point, Jack has seen, actually, I can make a play off of your play and give the ball to you. So this is where we talk about the secondary goal of receiving a pass. Now, of course, Jurias is on low boost here, so he doesn't want to try anything too risky. But the ball is put on a plate for him, and he looks to pass middle. And now his main focus is to try and get out of the play. So obviously if he'd landed with higher boost, or if the ball had moved in a different way, he would have been able to do more here. But his focus is to just rotate out because he knows that Jack passed the ball to him and is able to cover behind, right? So you can see here, rotates away from the play is going off to the opposite side, gets a boost steal, and comes back into a useful position with boost, which is in the midfield here. Again, can see everything on the pitch. So just to reiterate, rotate away from the play to come back in useful position with boost allows you to see everything on the pitch, see when you need to come in. It makes the mechanics simpler on what you need to do to engage in the play. And it also is very clear for your teammates where you are. One thing I haven't mentioned up to this point is the boost is more available on the opposite side of the pitch in general than it is on the same side of the pitch as the play. And that's because there are less people on the opposite side. The boost is more likely to respawn. So now we've looked at in a threes environment, let's have a look at how it changes in twos. Unfortunately, I don't have any pro replays of 2v2, so you're going to have to deal with Gregan gameplay here, which, as you can see at this point, this wasn't my best game. It was just a replay that I saved to watch a moment at the end. I think there was a big mistake from my teammate at the end or something like that, which is why I saved it. What we can see here is how the rotate out mindset changes in twos. So the main difference in twos versus threes with your rotate out mindset is you need to focus on the secondary goals a little bit more. So there's three of the secondary goals that are a lot more important. One is staying in the play on low boost. You have to be able to rotate via the pads and stay close to the play a lot more in twos. If you rotate away and pick up hundreds, you give up a lot of space. Another thing you need to really focus on is disrupting dribbles, because you don't want to leave your teammate alone. You might need to come back into the play and take that ball off of the opponent. And the last thing is looking to get umps on the way out. It's huge in twos. It opens up a lot of space. And those are your main focuses from the secondary goals. So we're just going to look at a few examples here that led to goals for us. So you can see just before I took this shot here, unfortunately my shooting isn't great. I was rotating out at this point and maintaining boost, picking up pads, and looked to turn in on low boost because there was a gap in the play there. Took the shot, unfortunately missed wide, and again, I'm now on low boost. My landing wasn't particularly great, but I'm now rotating out on low boost. So it'd be very easy for me to try and go out to the mid boost and pick up 100. But in this situation, I trust my teammate to get it middle. and there's a small window of opportunity for me to come in and make that play. And so it allows you to keep pressure on, take advantage of the fact there's only 2 players on your position, so you can turn in and win those interactions. The other thing is you can trust your challenge game in 2s a lot more because it's less likely to pop out to an opponent because you know where both your opposition are when rotating back in. So here you can see as the 3rd man here, I'm just waiting and my teammate comes in and disrupts the dribble. If I had to go for this ball and rely on my teammate to get behind me, there wasn't the time to be able to do that. So I had to let my teammate chase and go for the block there. So I come in here, try and take it past the opponent, and I'm able to do the most scuffed gameplay ever. But this comes back to the fact my teammate got the ball off of my opponent, gets a boost steal as well, I believe, and that allows me to come in and make a play. So for this last play here, for this last goal, I rotated away, got the boost steal in case the opponents were able to get it, and look to take up a bit of time here to allow my teammate to rotate out, which is another big part of the rotations. If you're the person on the ball, you can often waste a lot more time to make your teammates' rotations more effective. And what you'll notice here is I focused on using the secondary parts of my rotation to open up an opportunity for my teammate. So here, I'm just looking to get the ball middle and look to go for a bump and then potentially a boost steal from the other side. So you can often use the secondary part of your rotation to create goals. It's not just about outplaying on the ball, but you can outplay off the ball a lot more in 2s. So that's the main differences between 2s and 3s in Rocket League. Hopefully this made sense for you. If you've got any questions, leave it down in the comments below. Subscribe for more coaching tips and analysis content in Rocket League, and I'll see you in the next video.